Oh, okay. Welcome back to episode number 23 of the TEW 2016 Challenge Run. We're booking SmackDown Live and 205 Live today on our road to Payback. Let's get into it. SmackDown opens up with the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre. He opens SmackDown. He says he should be standing here tonight as the number one contender for the WWE Championship. But he's not, and it's no fault of his own, because he had Aleister Black dead to rights in that triple threat match last week, but Kevin Owens, the loser, was also in that match, and he couldn't get the job done, took the Black Mass and lost to Aleister Black, and cost Drew McIntyre and Owens himself both an opportunity to wrestle Daniel Bryan at Payback. So Drew lets Owens know that him costing him the title shot is going to have serious repercussions. But before you can say what they are, Kevin Owens himself comes out, and because he's a good guy, he doesn't hamper on the excuses. He gives credit to Aleister Black. He's like, hey, yeah, good win, and I hope you kick Bryan's ass at Payback. However, this now leaves open Kevin Owens' schedule for Payback, and Drew McIntyre is also currently free for bookings at Payback. So Owens says he hopes Aleister Black kicks Bryan's ass, but he himself is going to kick Drew McIntyre's ass at Payback. And Drew accepts this, but he's like, I don't want to sort of scavenge away without proving that I didn't have Aleister Black beat last week. So Owens can go and be impressed with his little friend. He can go find his impressive little friend. And Drew will find Daniel Bryan. And we'll have ourselves a tag team match, player. And Owens accepts this, and we have our main event set. It's Kevin Owens and Aleister Black against Daniel Bryan and Drew McIntyre. Opening match, Cesaro and Andrade. Cesaro had to be kept strong for whatever reason. Even though Andrade actually scored better than him. But Andrade does get the win here with the Hammerlock DDT. And that similarly sets up himself and Rey Mysterio as the challengers for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We then get Alexa Bliss. She's in her locker room. She's like got a steel chair facing away from the camera, but she's going to sit on it facing the camera. And she says, last week Charlotte Flair tried her best to try and make Alexa feel like insignificant and make all of her accomplishments that she's won, all her titles, mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. And she's like, girl, people have been trying to do that ever since I first got here, and not once has it got me down. It's like, you walk around like you earned the place. You seem to take your name because you call yourself the queen, and you seem to think that's literal and that you're actually royalty and everyone should bow at your feet, but they shouldn't, because it's not about the size of your footsteps to follow in. It's not about the size of your other things that matter. It's the size of your heart, and following your heart is what matters. And Alexa's heart is telling her that she should take a stand and challenge Charlotte Flair to a match at Payback and prove to the rest of the world and Charlotte Flair that the Alexa Bliss everyone remembers is well and truly back. So Alexa, not too happy with Charlotte sort of running her down last week, and she's going to try and take a stand at Payback. Tag team match, women again. Kairi and Io getting another win on the board, this time against Nia Jax and Tamina, who are never going to win a match. Everyone's improving except for Io. Nia Jax is improving in flying skills. Oh boy. We get Daniel Bryan and Rowan backstage, up the Rowan. Bryan says that he's happy that Aleister Black won last week because he's been watching Aleister since he first came to SmackDown Live, and he can only keep quiet about what he's seen for so long. He says Aleister Black is a poison on this society. His, quite frankly, satanic rituals are taking us back years instead of progressing us into the future. He says Aleister Black is trying to brainwash people into following his path, a path of darkness. But Bryan here is the light. He's the light that everyone needs. He's the light that the planet needs. and he's going to be the guiding light so the WWE Universe and Aleister Black need to be set free on the right path. At Payback, he's going to end Aleister's little charade before it even really begins. So Brian, not taking too happy to Aleister Black's rituals, he says, no, I should be the role model that you follow, not this dark, satanic thug. And at Payback, I'm going to expose him and end this little voodoo charade before you really get to know him. Squash match. Lars Sullivan beats local competitor Jake something. I believe this is Ruby Riot's husband. But yeah, he's coming for one night and he's been beaten by Lars. So local competitor is a step above the totem pole than No Way Jose. We get Randy Orton backstage. No, not Randy Orton backstage. We get Randy Orton making his entrance. And then during his entrance, we cut to Gorilla, where Kathy Kelly stood with his opponent, Curtis Axel. Axel says last week Orton made both himself and R-Truth look like a joke because he came out after 2 minutes and stopped their match. And Axel is going to regret... He says Orton's going to regret that because Axel was going to prove he's no joke. He's a son of a legendary wrestler and he's to be taken seriously. And Orton's going to know that better than the rest of the world tonight when he goes out there and beats Randy Orton. Doesn't turn out as well for Curtis Axel as he likes to seem to think it will, because Orton beats him. RKO. But after the match, Orton, he continues to assault Curtis Axel to try and send a message to him saying, because of after last week. And then he gives him another RKO and Axel slowly gets to his feet. Orton backs into the corner, ready to go for a punt. And Ricochet runs to the ring. He leaps onto the side of the ring. Does a massive springboard. He springboards like all the way across the ring. Dropping Randy Orton with a drop kick. The crowd will go crazy because this is like the first big dive Ricochet's done on the main roster. Flies pretty much the whole length of the ring and drops Orton. I'd actually imagine it being like a drop kick where he'd drop kick him and the force would push Orton through the ropes and he'd retreat. The Women's Champion is back in action. She defeats Alicia Fox with the Asuka lock. Not much to it, but what happens after the match is what we're really focusing on here. Asuka is celebrating. She's walking backwards up the ramp, and then behind her, Shayna Baszler would walk out, slowly, sarcastically slow claps, as Asuka doesn't realise she's there until she backs into Shayna and gets put in the Karafuda clutch and put to sleep. So then Shayna would grab the SmackDown Women's title, hold it up, like per foot on Asuka's head, and cement her claim that she's going to be the next SmackDown Women's Champion. Finn Balor versus Rusev, just in a match to get both on the show. It says, ignore the rotation notes, I'll explain what happens. The match is just in progress when Robert Roode, the new and improved Robert Roode, comes out halfway through the ramp, just unannounced, no music, no nothing, just walks out, suit, mustache, and grabs a steel chair and just takes a seat at ringside and watches the end of Finn Balor versus Rusev, where Balor scores the win with a coup de grace. After the match, Roode gets into the ring and he says he was impressed with Balor's win. He's been impressed with Balor since he come to SmackDown Live. But Robert Roode is here to return to glory. And the first step on that path to him returning to glory is to take Finn Balor's Intercontinental title at Payback. So consider this an official challenge, he says to Finn. Me and you at Payback for your title. And Roode just walks off. Balor slowly nods his head, like, yeah, seemingly accepting the challenge and saying he'll bring on anyone who wants to face him. The main event is an 89B+, when Drew McIntyre and Daniel Bryan defeat Aleister Black and Kevin Owens. Drew pins Kevin Owens with the Claymore. Yeah, good little main event here. No negatives at all. And that's going to end the show, and it's going to score us 89B+, so the exact same rating as the match. Another banging episode of SmackDown Live. We're going to pause here and get into 205 Live. And we're back with some hot and spicy 205 Live Cruiserweight action. We start with the in-ring return of Aiden English. He scores the win over Humberto Carrillo in 11 minutes 20 seconds. So after last week saying that he's coming out of retirement or coming off the announce desk to return to in-ring competition, which he reiterates after the match. He grabs the mic and he's like, "Hey, I'm back, remember me. So if you're one of these upcoming, impending new recruits to 205 Live, you'd better watch out because I'm on top form and I'm coming to be the next Cruiserweight champion." You thought I'd forgotten about him, didn't you? Lio Rush comes out with Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews, and he's like, "Ha, you see, I'm a smart man, and I have the ability to become the top guy on 205 Live because I have something at my disposal nobody else has. That is the big man and Apollo." And Bobby's stood behind him, of course, showing off his bum. And he's with these two big men in this land of the cruiserweights. These two big men on my side will guide me, and I will never, ever be beaten by a cruiserweight ever again. So anybody on that roster come out and face me right now. And it's Akira Tozawa, and Lio Rush does beat him in 9 minutes in a good match, 63C. And after the match, the big man and Apollo and the bum, Lio orders them to beat up Akira Tozawa to send a message that Lio Rush is now unstoppable on 205 Live with his two big men behind him. We then get a vignette or like sit down interview thing like they do on NXT, going through Flip Gordon, his whole career, and why he came to 205 Live, and what his goals are, and just showing off his best moments, basically introducing the WWE audience to Flip Gordon. And the main event is shit. Tyler Bate and Mike Kanellis, because apparently Mike and Maria, awkward pairing, Tyler and Mike don't click. So Mike can't score a point here, and the number one contender scores yet another win on his way towards Payback, I think. Yeah, because the women's tag titles are going to be defended on Backlash, so the Cruiserweight title is on Payback this month. End of the show. C-58. Current scoreboard has Aiden English, Flip Gordon, and Lio Rush on 1 point. Tyler Bate is the number one contender because he beat Buddy Murphy. And yeah, that's it for 205 Live this week. And we'll see you next time for the Go Home Monday Night Raw before Backlash.